All right. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Today, on our off-schedule webinar, we did a little mid-schedule webinar here. This one popped in. We're going to talk about how to enroll in Merit. So, Merit, as I'm sure many of you know, is the state's new retirement plan. In 2022, the state passed a law basically saying that all employers with five or more employees either have to uh, provide an employer-sponsored employer-sponsored retirement plan, or allow them to enroll in a new state program that's been created. So Merit is the state's program that has been created as a Roth IRA program. We're going to talk a little bit about where we're at in that program, what the next steps are for employers, what your ongoing responsibilities are, and then what the next steps are for you and your employees. And of course, we'll have some questions at the end for you as well. So Merit did launch January 17th, just about 2 weeks ago from today. If you don't know what Merit is, if you don't know all the requirements, visit papertrails.com/merit for full details. We have our whole guide to the program on there. It's an ebook. You can certainly take a look at that, and that'll give you all the details on the program. Today, we're just going to talk about how to get enrolled and next steps. So if you aren't fully up to date on what Merit is, go to papertrails.com/merit. We have a link to our webinar. We have a link to our ebook. Lots of good information on the program as a whole there. So program went live. We've actually been beta testing this with the state for about 2 months now, since about November. Things have gone pretty well in the beta test. We've had a couple of clients in there making contributions, and overall it's been pretty well. So that's a good thing. Actually, we were quite surprised when we got the email saying this was going live on January 17th. We were anticipating it more to be around this time, the beginning of February, that it would go live, but things went very well in the beta, which is a good thing. And the program did go live January 17th. So on the 17th, emails were sent out to any employer who the state believes would be eligible to enroll in this or required to enroll in this. So they used unemployment data. So your most recent unemployment filing, essentially, if you had five or more employees on that, you would have gotten an email. That email went out to the email address on your unemployment account. You started your unemployment account 20 years ago. It's possible that that email is not up to date and you didn't get an email. So letters were also sent out to your address on file with your unemployment account. So if you didn't get a letter or didn't get an email, you may want to call Merit or go to meritsaves.com and get in touch with Beth Bortowitz and her team to figure out why you didn't get a letter. I will let you know, if you have a 401k and you file a 5500 form, Merit did do a cross check on that. So if you have a 401k, file a 5500 form, they automatically opted you out. So you may not have gotten a letter or an email if you have a 401k, and that's okay because Merit automatically opted you out based on those federal filings. You certainly can call Vestwell, who's the back end of this, at that number at the bottom, 1-833-608-8811. They can confirm whether or not you were opted out because you have a 401k. So that's only for people that have a 401k. If you got that email or letter, you do have to take action, right? You cannot just ignore it. Don't throw it in the file. Don't delete it. If you got a letter or an email, you need to do something with it. Or if you have more than five or more employees, you need to act. That email had an access code in it. You need to log into the website and either opt out if you have a qualifying plan, which is any of the qualifying plans here, 401k, 403, 408k, which is a SEP, with a 408p, which is the simple IRA, any type of qualified retirement plan. If you have that, you just have to log in, go put your access code, put your EIN in, and say, I have one of these plans. You're opted out. Or you can also opt out because you don't have enough qualifying employees or because you haven't been in business for more than 1 year. So those are some ways you could opt out. If you do not have one of those plans and you do not want to start one of those plans, you've got to go through the process to enroll your business and get you in there. So any eligible employees would be anybody 18 years or older, full-time, part-time, seasonal, temporary, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're a seasonal employer, you must register if you have five or more bodies working for you and you don't have a qualifying retirement plan, okay? There is a deadline to this, so employers with 15 or more employees have to be registered by April 30th, registered or opted out by April 30th. If you have five or more employees, you have to be registered or opted out by June 30th, okay? So I'm guessing that the state's probably not going to go hog wild with penalties right away, but certainly keep in mind, this is a requirement for all Maine employers. Once you've gotten registered, I don't want to go through a whole lot of the process to actually register because Merit has actually done a really good job with that registration process. I'm actually going to share my web browser and I will share with you the information that the state has on their website on guiding you how to register your business. So if you go to meritsaves.com, then you go to employers and the help center, they have a really great portal up here where you can go in and follow step-by-step instructions on all the items to do with registering your company. So how to fill out your company information. They have really good screenshots here, doing business as, all the things about your business. This is basic business information, address, mailing address if that's applicable, banking information. All of that information is here on the help center on the Merit website, okay? So all of that is really, really good information, really good screenshots on here. Use this as a resource to help you get set up. Of course, if you have questions, certainly reach out to Merit, and certainly you can call them at the employer assistance line here on their website to be able to get more information if you get stuck or have an issue. But the staff at Merit's wonderful. They're really good people. They've got a great program going here, so hopefully things will go pretty smoothly. The processes that I've seen where employers are either opting or registering has been pretty easy. So that's the first step, is getting your company registered. Okay. Then once you get the company registered, you have to upload employee information. So it includes address, birthday, email address, social security number, name, things like that. Okay. You need to get your employees in there. We do have an export within iSolved that you can export and upload to the portal. Something you need, there are a few things that you need to do before that happens, okay? So there's probably a little employee cleanup that needs to happen because a lot of people have different things that are going to cause issues in that process. So we always tell people go to employee management, employee maintenance, and the general screen. Everything you need is on this screen. Employees must have a physical address because they are opening essentially a bank account, a federal account. They must have a physical address. No PO boxes are allowed in Merit. So within payroll, you can come in, change that address. There is a spot to put a PO box. I'm going to show you that in a second as a backup. So put their physical address on that general screen. Make sure they have an email address in the self-service email field, okay? They are going to get emails from Merit, so it's critical that you have a good email in there. Birthday, certainly only applicable to employees 18 or older, so you need to know the birthdays. And then, of course, they're opening a financial account, so their social security number needs to be in there up to date. So make sure those items are entered and up to date on all of your employees before you go run this report. If employees have a PO box, you can go to employee management, employee maintenance, and override the address and enter that PO box in here. You can also check the boxes for overriding on your W-2, 1099, paychecks, things like that with a PO box. And you can certainly, when the export happens, this address will go in the mailing address section. So there's a section on that export for physical address and a section for mailing address, and that will get exported based on this override address screen. So once you go ahead and do that, we do have to run a payroll in order to commit all this data. So there's one of the quirky things about iSolve. That data will not automatically update in my report real time. So we've got to run a payroll. That kind of commits the data in the back end, all those changes you might have made. Then go ahead and say, hey, I need that census for the Merit program from your payroll processor. They will go ahead and send that over to you via secure email, and then you can go into meritsaves.com and get those employees uploaded, okay? Once you get logged in, you're going to go ahead and get registered, get your EIN, get access code, go ahead, follow the directions on meritsaves.com. This will allow you to exempt yourself or go ahead and register your business, okay? Then you're going to go ahead and upload that employee census that we gave you. If you are going to use our integration, which we're going to talk about in a minute, you must use the ACH bank method when you're setting your account up, okay? You must use that. And basically what that means is when we submit a file to Merit, they are going to debit that amount from your bank account. Okay. So that's a required piece of that registration if you're going to use that. Otherwise, if you're going to manually upload contributions, you do not need to use that. You can submit a check. You can tell them when to take the money or so forth. But if you're going to use our integration where we send a file off to Merit every pay period, you need to have that ACH method set up. And again, reminder, use that help center for everything. So if you're going to use our integration, there's a few things to think about, right? If you're not going to use it, there's also a few things to think about. But if you're not going to use the integration, essentially you are required to go ahead and upload contributions every time you run payroll. You still have to go ahead and get the contribution amounts from Merit because once you upload that census, employees are going to get an email. They are also going to have to do something with that email. If they do not opt out after 30 days, they will automatically get a 5% contribution into this. Okay. And you, as the employer, will get an email saying Susie wants 5% put into their Roth IRA, and you need to come in and put that in. Okay. After the 30-day window has passed for them to respond, you go ahead, put each employee's contribution amount into payroll, run payroll, and then you have to log into the Merit website every single payroll and say, this is how much my employees contributed. Okay. Again, you have to manage. You got to go to the employee maintenance, employee pay deduction screen and enter in those contribution amounts, right? So those are really important that you have to manage that. Regardless of the integration, you do still need to manage putting the employee contribution amounts in there. Okay. If you're going to use the integration, we do have a one-way integration to Merit. What that means is if you want, let us know. We will go in and send a file every payroll off to Merit. Okay. That will include all the employees' contributions. And then once that processes, you will go ahead and have a debit out of your account for the employees' contribution amounts. We do not debit that as part of payroll. That sits on your books as an outstanding liability, and you would then fund it through this method. Okay. The process for integration will probably take a little bit of time. There's going to be a huge demand for setting up integrations. Vestwell has been pretty good about working through these, but I could see it taking several weeks to get an integration set up because we have to manually test every single client that we're working with. Okay. So we alone have over 400 clients who we think are going to be part of this program. And we have to then go ahead and potentially set up integrations for all of them. And Vestwell has to test and respond to us. So and plus you have to remember all the other employers across the state who are starting this as well. They have a small testing team. So if you are doing the integration and you were going to test it, you would still be responsible for uploading those files until the integration is complete. Okay? So once that integration is live, we will go ahead and start sending that automatic file off to Merit every single pay period. We also will send a new employee census report off to Merit every payroll as well. So if you hire new employees, you will be able to, that will automatically transmit to Merit, and they will automatically get an email saying, hey, you need to do something. You either need to sign up or you need to opt out. So you would no longer be required to manage your employee piece either. Even still, you have a responsibility as an employer, with or without the integration. You have to make sure that all employees' deductions are updated. Okay, so if you get an email from Merit that says Johnny wants to go to 3%, you have to get that updated into payroll. Okay. If you receive a notice from Merit that says, hey, we didn't get your file, can you send it along? Please let us know as soon as possible. Every integration is not perfect, of course. There may have been an error in that file. Something stopped it from processing. We want to know about that sooner than later. Please let us know. Don't ignore that because there could be penalties to you as the employer for not transmitting employee funds. And then, of course, when employees update their contribution amounts, which they can do at any time within their Merit portal, if they want to go from 3% to 4%, you may get an email. And again, you need to make sure that that gets updated within payroll. Okay. Let's just talk about the bookkeeping a little bit. I spoke about that before. So when employees make contributions to their plans, these contributions will be posted as part of your payroll to an outstanding current liability account on your books, right? So the money comes out of the employee's checks and is essentially sitting in your books until we send that file or you make a contribution upload to Merit. Okay. Once that happens, once the integration or your contribution goes through, Merit will debit your account for the total of all of those contributions. When that happens, you will go ahead and post that debit from your checking account to that Merit payable or that outstanding liability account, and it'll wash out. It'll be an in and an out. So you're not getting necessarily billed for that, but your bookkeeping is being the steward, the throughway for these employees' funds. Okay. Certainly talk to your bookkeepers, talk to your accountant if you have questions about how this works. So let's talk about what it means for the employees. Okay. So when you register your business and you upload that census file, the employee is going to receive an email with an access code and the requirement to log in. Okay. They need to log into meritsaves.com and create an account and do this within 30 days. They must act, just like you as the employer must act. Okay. If they do nothing after 30 days, you're going to get an email saying, take 5% from this employee. If they can go in, they can change their contribution rate, they can make investment choices, all that stuff, and they can opt out altogether if they want. Okay. The state law allows for merit at random intervals or regularly scheduled intervals to be determined by the board, which have not been determined yet, for that re-enrollment process to happen. So if you opt out, it is very possible that in a year, the board of merit is going to say, we want to re-enroll everybody. Okay. Merit has that ability under the law, and they're going to fire up another email, and they may have to opt out again. That's to be determined. They haven't come up with that yet. But again, they have to do something. Either log in, opt out. If they do nothing, they're going to get automatically opted in. Okay. At any time, employees can log in, make their changes to their account. So they could go from 5% to 10%. They could go from, 5 to 0. They can do that at any time. And you as the employer, reminder, are responsible for uploading payroll to stop those or change those contributions. Employees own these accounts. These are Roth IRA accounts. They will move with them if they change jobs. So if they go from restaurant 1 to restaurant 2 and they want to contribute at both, their account will stay the same and will be active. Again, remember, all employers with 5 or more employees have to take action. You have to either log into Merit or opt yourself out. Okay. If you want to enroll and you want to use the resources that we have available to you, there's some cleanup to do. If you want to use our integration, please talk to us, talk to your payroll processor. We'll get that going. Okay. You have to remember, you still have responsibility in this program as an employer. And of course, be sure to communicate with your staff because they're not going to know what's going on if you don't tell them. So I'm going to pop back over. I want to show you a few other resources that we have available. So I talked about the Merit webpage, papertrails.com/merit. This gives an overview of the retirement program, what the deadlines are, employer-employee information, lots of good information on here. If you scroll to the bottom, we have all of our resources. So here's a copy of our most recent webinar we did in October with Beth Bordowitz, who is the director of the program. We did a great webinar with her. We do have our compliance guide. You can download that here. That's that full ebook. It has all the details. We also have our employer and employee checklists. Okay. Our employer checklist goes through a lot of the things that we spoke about today, gives you a plan of what you need to do step by step by step, how you need to get this process rolling. Okay. The employee checklist, you can give this to your employees. You're welcome to print this, save this, put this as part of your new hire packages. You can go ahead and give this to them, tell them exactly what they need to do. This also has some frequently asked questions about the program for them. And as always, don't forget, go to meritsaves.com. Back there. And there are resources for both savers, which are your employees, and you as the employer. Okay, so there's lots of questions about investments, contributions, things like that for the employees to get as well. Lots of resources out there to help you be successful. So certainly this is an added burden to, employers. That's, the state makes it sound like it's an easy process. And for the most part, it is. It's not terribly complex, but it is something that's an added piece that you have to worry about maintaining. Our team's here to help you kind of manage that the best we can through these integrations, getting you the information that you need. But certainly remember, you as the employer are the one that has the obligation to manage this. And that's going to fall down on you. And the state will fine you if there are issues that you are not taken care of. So certainly happy to take any questions about this process. The chat's open, the Q&A is open, and certainly happy to answer any questions after the fact if you may have them, but I'll leave the chat open for a minute. We can go from there. Question about employer contributions. So employers cannot contribute to this plan. This is a Roth IRA. There's no employer match. If an employer wants to do a match, they should set up a qualified plan like a simple IRA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the programs that are available. We have talked to some clients who may want to make a contribution on behalf of that employee. They want to give you $50 a week or something. That would be a taxable stipend. So that's something to consider as well. And quite frankly, the employee can go in at any time and put that contribution to zero. And you would want to make sure you stopped your contribution if that was the case that was there. But there's no mechanism for an employer contribution in this program. It's strictly an employee plan. And just along those lines, there is no employer financial cost or burden to this other than administering it. There are no fees to you or the employee. The employee will pay a share of their investment costs, just as in any investment vehicle. But for sure, there is no direct cost to those. So for folks who work multiple jobs, do they enroll at each job? So I'm not exactly sure about that one. That's a great question. I do know that these are portable, and essentially it's a Roth IRA. So the account is not in the employer's purview. And even when we upload our integration, it is no employer information. It basically says, this is the employee, this is their social, and it maps it automatically to their account. So I don't believe they're going to have to sign up, but I believe that they can contribute to those multiple jobs, right? So if they want it, they have, they're serving at a restaurant over here and they're serving at a restaurant over there. They can make contributions. They don't necessarily just sign up both times, but their plan can be contributed in there. So if you have further questions on that, I would definitely encourage you to contact Beth Bordowitz and her staff at the state. They're really, really good. She can answer those real technical questions for you. So we have a lot of employees that who do not have email. What do we do in those cases? So I will tell you that has been something that has come up. As far as I know, employees do not get a letter. It is only an email mechanism for them. This is something that I've referred several clients up to Beth Bordowitz at the state, and I would encourage you to reach out to her as well to see what their solution is for that. It may be as simple as putting in a generic Gmail address for them, helping them get an email address. Unfortunately, you as the employer, us as the payroll company, nobody can opt them out. They must opt out themselves. So it may mean you need to create, johnsmith@gmail.com for this one purpose in order to do that. I'm not 100% sure, but I would definitely talk to the state if you have that concern and have employees with that situation. So, question: if I open seasonally, most of the staff starts in June. Right now, we're not sure who's coming back and who might be 18 years or older. Do I sign them up now or in June when I know I'll have 5 employees in June? So I would say don't wait until June. You don't have to do anything until the end of June, right? So you can wait until June. As soon as you do that, you must sign all those employees up, and they have a 30-day wait. Now, this is definitely a technical piece, and these seasonal folks are going to be, chasing this every year, right? So you're a seasonal employer. Say everyone gets hired Memorial Day weekend. They have 30 days before they can start contributing. So now we're at end of June. They have to opt out or opt in. Then they're probably only working 2 months. They may or may not contribute, and then they're terminated after that in September, for example. It is something that timeline will stay in place, that as soon as you hire someone, you were supposed to register them for merit within 30 days. They then have 30 days from that email. So again, it's a very tight timeline, but and these seasonal, best thing I would say is register them, follow the rules, and employees can just opt themselves out because it's likely that those folks are not going to do that. To clarify, the employee says how much, and then Vestwell notifies the employer we change the payroll deduction. Yes. So when the employee also has a login to Merit into Vestwell, which is the record keeper on file, they can go in and change that contribution at any time. When that happens, you as the employer will get an email saying Johnny wants to go to 5%. That's when you would want to make sure you change that within for the next pay. Not seeing any other questions right now, but certainly if you have any other questions, you're welcome to reach out to us. Our team is always happy to help. Lots to do with this. We've got some time here, but I would encourage you not to wait, particularly on those integrations. They do take time. They take mostly on the Vestwell side. Our side's pretty easy to get set up, but we got to get that set up on Vestwell in order to make sure that that happens. And there is a testing process. So we're going to give everyone a little bit of time back here. I hope everyone had a great, learned a lot today. Hopefully you're not too frustrated, but we'll be back in a couple weeks. Always the third Tuesday of every month is our regularly scheduled webinar. Go to papertrails.com, check that out, and we will have more for you next time. Talk soon. Have a great afternoon, everyone.